Hey everyone, it's Michelle Lightworker here and welcome to Enlightened Conversations. I have the beautiful Raelene Byrne joining me today. Hey Raels, how are you going?
Hi Michelle, how are you? Gorgeous. Thanks for the invitation again.
I'm great. Any excuse to catch up with you because I know we're really busy people, so it's really great to be able to create space for this, and there's so many things that I'm really looking forward to hearing about what's been rolling for you the last little while. For those of you who don't know Raelene Byrne, I will just give her a brief introduction for you. Raelene is an internationally recognised energetic healer and retreat facilitator and leader, meditation teacher, educator of self-empowerment, through self-knowledge, and she's a speaker, writer, shamanic practitioner, and an advanced liquid crystal practitioner and earth guardian. And also, Raels is a beautiful author who wrote my story in Holistic Bliss magazine a couple of years. Actually, I think it's going back 2.5 years now. Yeah, that was awesome. I really appreciated that. I wanted to let everybody know that you do some regular writing for Holistic Bliss and beautiful energy too, so I wanted to put that out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi everyone.
And it's the winter solstice today.
I know. I really love these universal markers, the winter solstice, summer solstice, the equinoxes, the day out of time. They're all beautiful times and moments for us to actually connect into the universal energy and within ourselves. We are part of it, and really reset and reflect, celebrate. It's working with everything and not just feeling that you're on your own. Like, I really believe with everything that's happened, especially in the last 12 months, the universe has your back all the time. So, taking time out on these days to connect into yourself and the universe is a very powerful process to align with your soul's journey even more than ever before.
Yeah, I agree. And I was actually reading your webpage on your upcoming retreat, which is coming up on the 5th to the 12th of September. And, I'm getting tingles just thinking about it, actually, because as I was reading it, there was a little list that you provide for people on your webpage, and it talks about what you expect from your attendees, but also what they could expect as well, like what you want from them and what you expect from them and what they should expect as well, which I think is really brilliant, and you give them a lot of preparation time for that. But I just wanted to share this with people because I love it. I think that you're saying what you will do for them. You will hold space for those who want real depth change, while be willing and prepared to step out of the old safety nets. You will challenge you say, I will challenge you to see who you truly are. I will hold you as you break through. I will laugh with you, celebrate with you, feel your obstacles, and gently but courageously help you move through it. I will call you on your patterns. I love that. That's awesome. Beautiful confronts required sometimes. I will hold space for each of the attendees to feel supported, loved, seen, cherished as the transformation takes hold. I will help you put strategies in place for your future life. I know you are worth it, and I want you to know that. I'm getting tingles as I'm feeling this energy come through, this beautiful, preparation for people to turn up for themselves. I just want to say, I know you brought that up at the beginning of the conversation, and I just thought, yes, we do need to take time. We do need to take time out, and we do need to create space, like carve it out for ourselves to give us that room, that room to expand. Like sometimes, Raels, we're going on in our life, and it's almost like our soul's expanding and it's trying to expand, and it goes, give me a chance, just give me a chance to catch up. There's more.
Yeah. There is always more, and part of our conditioning is, as the humanness and our mental stuff, is there's not enough. There's never enough. I'm not enough. There's never enough. Whatever it is, there's something in us around not enough, and a lot of that is inborn and bred. It's in our DNA from generations and ancestry lines that go way back around the fittest of the species. You know, it takes a lot of strength and the survival of the fittest, what I want to say, or the survival of the strongest. So that makes us feel that we've got to be in competition all the time. So there's never enough. There's not enough. So when we actually can realize that that is not true, it is never true, that we are enough as we are, and creating that time for ourselves to be in that, it shifts everything in our life. You know, there's two things that I really am big on with people, especially opening up to this journey of self-awareness and self-responsibility and self-knowledge, is, first of all, I am worth the effort, always have been, always will be. You know, you get someone to say that every day who feels like they're so unappreciated or taken for granted in life. They start to do that and their life changes. And the other one is, I am enough, always have been, always will be. That too shifts us into something else. So it makes us want to take better care of ourselves. It gives us stronger boundaries. It allows us to have incredible energy of respect and self-value. So we treat ourselves in such a way that the world has to match us.
Nice. I like that.
You know, we are giving it to ourselves. The days of us wanting it from the world and struggling and striving and trying to grab onto it and pull it in doesn't work anymore. It's not about that. That is that whole concept of, you know, the survival of the strongest. So, and that keeps us in competition. And we're looking at we used to look at everyone around, what are they doing? What do I need to do? How can I get in front? And this angst and this constant mental fatigue and exhaustion around trying to stay in front, you know, because of this competition that's born within us. When we start to know that I'm enough and know that I'm worth the effort, then it puts us into a place of cooperation, because all that stuff doesn't affect us anymore. We're so in tune with our own soul song in the world and what we're delivering, that's all we have to show up for. And what I said when I started, we show up for ourselves. You meet and greet yourself every single day. My purpose is to be the best aspect of myself today. That's it. Let me do that. Let me be that. Let me shine that. And then life unfolds in this beautiful way of grace and ease and effortlessness.
That's beautiful. I love that. And as you're talking, what I'm feeling is that the more that perhaps humanity are competing for, it's ironically waiting to be uncovered layer at a time. It's already there. It's not something that we have to chase. It's there. And the more we step into appreciating ourselves where we are and feeling gratitude for where we are right now, the more we naturally expand and we naturally unearth what is already in there, and it naturally starts to come forward. And so the more, if you like, is given permission to come forth rather than us try to hunt it down, compete with others, compare ourselves with others. We're just really enjoying the adventure, aren't we? We're more on that adventure of self-discovery and excitement. And of course, there's always going to be different parts of me showing and expanding. God knows where I'll be in 5 years, and that's exciting for me. That's exciting for you. That's exciting for all of us. It's taking the feeling off as well, and realizing that the cup already runneth over. We're just not aware. We have only the capacity to see as much as we see today. Sometimes we can see a little bit more, but as long as we're satisfied with the today, oh my God, that makes everything. I say if it's not fun, don't do it.
And right now I'm in this place where no matter what's going on, whether it's chaos, change, confusion, confrontation, to me, everything equates to expansion. That's how I'm living my life now. No matter what's showing up, this is another moment to expand. How I work in this, how I deal with it, how I face it is an expansion of my soul in the world. So my mission has really, or not my mission, but my soul journey has become so focused, and there's devotion towards it now more than ever before, because everything is this. When I expand, then everything around me has the opportunity to expand. And that's where how I'm living my life right now. And look, I don't want to harp on it, but, I did that story in this month's edition of Holistic Bliss. I had the opportunity to interview Greg Braden.
That was so great to get there. Yes,
And
I read it.
I
Awesome.
want to share this. This is how the soul story, the soul song works. If you don't mind me sharing this.
No,
Was
please.
17 years ago on 9/11, 2001, I went to see Greg Braden speak at a university in Brisbane. And we didn't even know if he would show up initially because of what had happened that day. Anyway, I got to do the conference with him. It was an amazing night. And quite a few things happened for me that night that changed the course of my life. And I've had some big men come into my life at times when I've had to change my way of seeing the world. He was one of them. But at the end of that conference, or the end of that night, as I left, I had this vision. You know how you get these visions? And it was me sitting with him speaking as colleagues, and it was just this flash. And I just thought, at that time, that's just a fantasy. I'm such a lowly fan, and he's such an iconic wisdom keeper, as if. And it was this moment where when I look back, I dismissed myself like that, because we all have fantasies about someone that we look up to at some point in our life. And this vision was there, and I dismissed it and diminished it and put it away. Didn't think any more about it. And it wasn't until I had the opportunity a couple of months ago, I went to do a retreat, his Soul to Soul retreat in New Mexico, which was freaking amazing. And I had the opportunity to interview him there. And we were sitting there, and in that moment, the vision came back of him and I, that time 17 years ago, him and I sitting together speaking as colleagues. And I really got it that even though I thought it was a fantasy, it was actually a prophetic seed planting for me. And my life over the last 17 years was never about, what do I need to do to get to interview him? And how am I going to do this? And who do I need to find out? Who do I need to know? And how do I get there? It was completely planted and forgotten about. And all I did was do my soul work, grow me, learn about me, shift through the things I had with, let my life and soul unfold its story the best way I could all the time, until that moment where everything collided. And it was such an incredible journey, because it showed me how much trust and faith I've had in my life without having to struggle and strive. And that's one thing I have not rejected in life. It's something that I have chosen to not go down that road. I've chosen to listen to my inner world, even though it's difficult. And you would know this. There are times when you've got to make choices for yourself. It's the right thing for you. It may not be the right thing for everybody around you, but it's the right thing for you. Okay. And you have to live through it, because it is expansive and it's something that you have to do. So that's how I've chosen to live my life. And I had this moment with him where everything was together. It was like, wow. And I felt not just a colleague, but incredibly respected with the conversation we were having. So, and that has taken it to a whole other level, because the story that I wrote, which you've just displayed, has been sent out through his whole social media network because he loved it so much. So what my lesson or my learning around this is the stronger you stay true to you, the stronger connection you have with your own heart and soul, and really follow and take action on your own inner guidance, whatever it is that's meant to be yours in life there. And no matter how fantastic your vision is for what you want, you know what? The chances are you're probably going to get there as long as you do you. Mm. That's what I found. And it was an incredible experience to really give me that even more confidence to just keep doing it, just keep showing up and doing what my soul song is in the world in the best possible way that for me each day, as long as it's right for me in that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is limitless, because it means that you can expand to wherever spirit really is calling your song, because our song is something that is a melody that I think in a vibration that changes and evolves. Our song changes and evolves as we grow, and we feel we come more into it, if you like, but it morphs itself, because we're never not in the right place. We're never not. And I think a lot of people judge the journey and they think, I'm not in the right place, I'm not following my soul song, but maybe there's some dissonance with their soul song and it's not quite like harmonious, but it's still a required aspect of the song, because that whole journey is their record, if you like, of like you listen to anything. It take you on a journey. And so I love that word soul song. And I also love the words soul fire as well.
Yeah, what's your soul fire?
Yeah.
But I just want to say that thing around, the journey. I was talking with a client yesterday, and what came up, and it was very strong, I'm just writing about it at the moment, is passion for the process. We're so driven for an outcome, and the outcomes are always there, but we forget, we get caught up in the day-to-day, I've got to do all these things to get to the outcome.
Yeah.
When we have passion for the process, everything we do becomes an outcome. Every little thing towards the bigger picture is an outcome. So passion for the process, forget about where you go. I mean, we've aligned with, we know what it is. Have passion for the process and let that fuel you in such a way that your soul is on fire and you are singing your soul song. So, it's finding ways to do that. So I'm writing about that at the moment because it was a very, very strong message that came through yesterday. Just very succinct, as we know, when spirit and soul speaks to us. Passion for the process. It's like, ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. I love it. And I encourage people to devour the every little step that they take. Just devour it and see it as, this is awesome. I am living my life in an awesome way. I'm stepping into that next challenge, or into the fear, past the fear, whatever it is, whatever we're doing. I don't care if it's changing something that we know we need to improve about ourselves, or if it's actually giving ourselves permission to feel more joy that's already there. Because I was speaking to someone the other day and they were like, I feel like I'm in such a sweet spot. Is it normal? I was like, hey, love it, like lap it up. So, sometimes we feel like, if I'm not working really hard, and I like that in your retreat where you said, if you're expecting to come to be pampered, just expect that after we go adventuring, we go adventuring and then the pampering comes, but we need to go exploring first. But it's equally important to sit in our joy and our nurturing and lap it up and love it, like really love it. And that's part of the self-worth journey too, isn't it? Because I feel more joy every day, and sometimes I think, how much joy can I possibly stand? And what
we said more about someone, I'm saying they're in such a sweet spot. When I hear that, it's like that's our true state. And we're so not used to being in that when we are in it, we start to find ways to get out of it, because it's like, whoa, this isn't normal. And it's like, wow, this is my new normal. This is expansive. So, I'm with you. It's like, how much more is there? How much more can I discover? How much more can I expand into? It's a really very, very exciting time for us all right now.
And we become, I think, when we have that excitement and that joy, like for ourselves and our journey and passion for the journey, I feel like when we're watching other people, go through theirs, our go-to isn't, oh, you poor thing. It's, oh, cool. Oh, this is great. This is challenging you. Fabulous.
Yeah.
I don't need to rescue you. This is freaking awesome what you're going through. And also when they're actually in their sort of what we would term a success, or even in their sweet spot, we're not feeling like inadequate. We're feeling like cheer squad. And I think that's actually part of unity coming in. Like as we mature spiritually, we're less about me, more about we, more in celebration of other people. And the collective consciousness then comes together on that vibrational level of, let's celebrate each other rather than tear each other down, or find ways to pick holes in what everybody else is doing so we can feel good.
Yeah. Well, that's going back to what I was saying before, that old theory, that old paradigm around survival of the strongest. We are going to try and find weaknesses in others, in the past, in others, so we could be stronger. But that's not cutting it anymore. And I'm with you. One of the big things I say to people all the time now is celebrate everything you do. Find a reason to celebrate life, celebrate you, because the more you do that, the more gratitude you have, and the more that comes to you naturally, and the more you align with. And, something that works really well. And I've been playing with this year, and it's pretty amazing how it works. And, you and I are gratitude girls. That's our go-to. That's our state of being. I often say to people who this it's foreign to, is instead of waiting to the end of the day to write out your 5 things you're grateful for through the day or you have gratitude for, I'd say to them, it's like stringing beads together through the day. As many times as you can through the day, 5, 6, 7, 10 times. It doesn't matter where you are. Just stop. Close your eyes, hand on your heart, and just say, what am I grateful for right now? And then open your eyes and see whatever it is and be grateful for that, because that becomes that steadiness of that state of being in gratitude. And then it becomes your way that's under the undercurrent of everything. It's not something that you have to do at the end of the day. It's just who you become. So I've been practicing that, and I'll tell you what, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Miss.
Oh, yes, go for it.
What is your soul fire?
My soul fire is really about what we're kind of talking about, whereas we're allowing people to expand and see a limitless expansion and potentiality with people, and to find ways to make people's soul fire more visible. So, through the magazine Lightworker Advocate that I started, through the projects like this 5D TV I'm producing with, through other organisations where we can find ways to talk about what they're doing and get excited, because there's a lot of people in mainstream society still that are fearful about our world, and they're fearful about where it's going. And I feel like we need to bring some balance to that. And we need to bring balance by saying, I believe in the human race. I actually believe that we are capable of tapping into higher vibrational frequencies that will, like gratitude, like our soul fire, that will actually lift everybody else as we collectively take responsibility on an individual level. And I feel like for me, that's where I feel the most excited. How many ways can I do that, Rails? I'm not sure yet. I feel like that's part of my soul fire journey, to find out. I had a meeting with Amy Young, who's the new editor of Lightworker Advocate magazine, the other day, and we were talking about how, because she took this on board because I was so busy with 5D TV and executive producing all these TV shows, because I've produced over 50 shows since October. It's a lot of shows. I'm sort of going, whoa, I guess you don't know what you're capable of until you step into it. But, it's taken a lot. And she stepped in and said, hey, I'll help. And so she's been editing. And we had a meeting the other day. I said, how can we actually engage the community to even help you? And we came up with this idea, a bit like what you're doing with Holistic Bliss, in that we can engage people to actually become enlightened journalists, to report on things that matter, on products, services, enterprises, along the lines of what I'm trying to make visible, and engage other people in that impulse if they feel called to do that. And so, my soul fire, it's extensive, I guess, and I love traveling, and Tony and I are going to, as you do, and Tony and I are going to Europe in 12 weeks today, for 5 weeks, and we're going to 11 countries, and I'm really open to with these holidays, I find myself immersing myself into, that sacred space that you talk about, where you go away on a retreat. But I feel like it is adventure for me. But I always find that through removing myself from the dailies here and then going somewhere else, we do crack open more, and we do come into alignment with things more outside the box than in our current space. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really looking forward to that, because I just have a feeling there's going to be more information on that, for where my soul fire is taking me as well. So that's my soul fire. I get all lit up when I'm when I'm seeing other people lighting up. It's great.
Well, my world's taken a different sort of direction. said, I'm following my soul's song where it needs to be in the world. And over the last couple of years, I'm spending more and more time in the business corporate world. And I do a lot of speaking in that world. And that's how I'm cracking people open, is standing in front of, hundreds and hundreds of people, sometimes nearly 1,000 people at a time, and talking to them about the simplicity of connecting to themselves, their soul, taking action, listening, and all the simple things they can do in life that cost nothing except them wanting to devote time to themselves. So, and there's a lot of change happening there. There's a lot of people opening and expanding, and their lives are shifting. So that's sort of my soul fire. What makes me show up all the time is to help people remember that they have it all, that everything they need to know is already there. They just have to remember how to find it. They just have to remember how to listen, and they just have to remember how to take action. So I'm sort of going along those lines at the moment, and there's great responses, there's great interactions. I'm really loving seeing some of these people really devoting time to their journey and opening up and watching the change happening in their life. It's very joyful. And, every time someone says, oh, my God, you helped me do this, it's like, well, you actually did it. I just held the mirror up, baby, and you did the rest. So, I get it. It's this big thing going on, expansiveness. That's what we're all about now. And the soul has been so contained and so limited and so terrified. Like as the mind, the mental body, and the humanity has lived in such terror for so long to be who we are, that now that it's like we can't not be that anymore, because we just can't contain the energy that we are. Plus, we're getting all these universal energetic impulses and gifts flying in and out. Our vibration is shifting. And as you said, with the traveling, we step out of our comfort zone. And one of the reasons I love taking people on retreats to other countries is for that very reason. You step into another country, different cultures, driving on different sides of the road perhaps, different language maybe, different foods. There's so many different things that you have to be starting to trust yourself and how you interact with all of that. So, traveling, as you said, it is expansive, but it does give you opportunities to know more about who you are. And I think on a different level, you're picking up the energetics of different places you go to.
Oh, for sure.
You do that. And, how do we know? I'm just going to say this hypothetically. How do we know that somewhere in our soul's infinite eternal journey that we haven't walked those places before and we haven't lived a life there? Sometimes things come up for us in those places, which is part of why we're called there. So there's lots of opportunities now for people to really start accessing that soul stuff. And as you said about mainstream, it is starting, because what I'm seeing in the mainstream when I go in there, and I've got most of my clients are from that world now, they are so uncomfortable. Things that used to work for them are not working anymore. And we know this. The old structures are just falling apart. And no matter how hard people are trying to hold things together, it's not working. It's that little boy trying to put his finger in the dam everywhere. It's not working. We have to basically knock it all down, find a new foundation, create a new foundation, and grow from there. And this is what I think this year is about for a lot of people, is creating a brand new foundation for the next part of your life.
Nice. And do you find that when it comes to working in the corporate world, you're putting an invitation out there to people in the corporate industry and they're coming to you? Or do you find yourself being engaged by corporate enterprises for their people? And, if that's the case, what's their main need? Okay,
so the main thing is I get invited to come and speak at events. And so it's to help people. I suppose it's to bring a little bit of balance on some level, because the events I get invited to speak at are all very mental. It's wealth creation, property development, tax stuff. It's all head stuff. And I go in and talk about soul stuff, and it's interesting because some people there are very driven, and I'll be honest, some of them are very driven by lack. you know, oh, I've got to make money for my future. I've got to get property. And they've got this anxiety and fear and lack of not having enough, which we talked about earlier on. So how can I have more? And it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it is. But what is driving them is getting in the way. So I go in and I try and talk to people about how to connect with themselves, to take better care of themselves, and to make better choices, and to not get to step out of the fear aspect and become the abundance of themselves, become the vibrational match for what it is they want, and how to do that. But there's a journey to get there, and I actually put in place steps for them to find their way to open up and start doing things. Now, the very, very, very first time I ever spoke at one of these events, you're going to love this. I don't know if I've ever told you this story. I was invited, and the person who invited me had been on one of my retreats. And so she just said, I really need you to talk to my people. So I decided, how can I get their attention? They're all very mental, very in their, you know, past, very rigid. And something in me was going, you need to get their attention. So I thought, okay, what can I do? And what came to me was, I hired a magician's cape or a wizard's cape from my neck to the floor, black, long cape. And I've got a set of fairy wings at home that I play, you know, dress-ups in from time to time. So I put them on the outside of this cape, and I was in a little room off the stage. The person who invited me had no idea what I was going to do. So I had the cape on and the wings, and I was introduced. I opened the door and walked out, and I don't know, there's like 350 people or whatever, and this shudder, a real whew, went right across the room. You could see it. It was like a wave went across the room, and every set of eyes turned to the person who was running the event, and you could almost hear the minds going, what the F and hell is this, you know? And so I could feel it, and everyone was looking at the organizer, and I just had to keep walking, and I stood on the stage and I took this deep breath. It's the first time I spoke in front of a corporate group. Took a deep breath, just held it for a moment, and then I said, every single one of you is in judgment right now. And I held it, and then I undid the thing and dropped it to the ground. And I said, and that's why I've been invited to come and speak to you, is to show you how easy it is to change from one way into another way, and it is this easy. I got them, and it was incredible. I didn't realize how powerful it was until later on, when I had quite a few of them come up and say one of the biggest lessons they've ever been taught in their life was when they're in judgment. They said, you showed us that really quickly. So when I go into these events, it's actually trying to help people open their minds just a little bit. So at all the events I've been doing since then, my role is to go in now and plant seeds. I don't go in there to, I'm running all these programs and you need to come and work with me. That's not me. I'm not a salesperson at all. What I do is offer as much information as I can to plant seeds. And some people start off with their arms crossed, rolling their eyes, oh, do we have to listen to this? By the end of a 2.5-hour talk, they're actually wanting to come up and talk to me, and something's changed for them, which is fantastic. But my role is to plant seeds. Now, they may do nothing with it initially, but 6 to 8 months later, I start getting the calls. I really, I can't, this isn't working. I really need some help. I've got a block. I've got an obstacle. Can you help me with this? And that's all I have to do. And whether it's me they come to or whether it's somebody else, it doesn't matter. But the seeds are planted. And I always say that, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone is my cup of tea. But if you have a seed in your head that, you know what, something's not working in my life and I have the ability to change this, right, I need help to find out how to do that. Whoever is the right resonance at that time when the person's ready will show up. So my role is to be fully, give the information as lovingly and generously as I can, plant the seeds, and leave it up to them. They either cultivate it and grow it or they don't. Nothing to do with me after that.
Yeah. And so would you say your soul planner is seed planter?
Well, a seed planter, or maybe I'm a cultivator. In that world, I'm planting seeds. When they come to work with me, I help them cultivate it. And then when they actually start producing whatever it is, growing whatever, I can step back and observe and enjoy and celebrate. That's my journey with people.
I love it. I love that. and you also help them prepare the soil. Gosh, you're in touch with the seasons, aren't you, honey? You know, we're preparing before we even go on the retreat, guys. We're preparing for a month, just saying. I love that. That's so good. Yeah, prepare the soil, plant the seeds, cultivate, and then help celebrate when their bounty is, then they can actually recognise their bounty. And I think that is just beautiful. And you recently, well, you're going to do some more work, I feel like, with that, you know, soulfire work. And do you have any plans, mechanisms or intentions that you want to share with us? And
okay, so what's coming up? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I've got a whole lot of stuff going on behind the scenes right now. I don't really want to share too much until it's out, but I've got some projects that have been on the boil, you know, on the back burner for a little while. And now the next couple of months, I'm at home on the coast. I've been traveling all year. I'm back for the next 3 months to really go into my creative cave and finish these things off. There is a whole lot of stuff coming with Soulfire. It'll be a community thing. It's like a Soulfire temple, but it'll be an online temple. I have got some events coming up later in the year. I've got the 11/11 Labyrinth of Light with Sacred Earth at Chambers Island. I've got the Snake of Realization walk on the summer solstice at Chambers Island. I am running an event in Brisbane. I have got a book coming very soon, which has just been in its final stages right now. What else? Oh, there's lots coming. Lots more interviews, webinars. It's really time for me to my soul song. It's my soul song time, and it's just generously, lovingly sharing all the things that really have assisted me in my life and the things I've gathered that are simple. And one of the things, you know, I speak with people, especially in the healing arts world, who are struggling with various things, and I, you know, give them things that have worked for me or what I've found along the way. And I have so many say, you need to run a webinar on that and share that with people, because, you know, for you know, as an example, people in the healing arts world, that they want to grow their practice, for example, or they want to be more acknowledged or more seen or whatever. And so what happens, they fall, I'm going to use the word prey. Sorry, it's a bit harsh, but they fall prey to the business perspective and the side where they've got to, you know, be doing all this stuff in the world, which puts them into, they start thinking about competition. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it takes the focus off their offering of themselves in the world and what they do. And so true cooperation, true collaboration is that willingness to be who you are in the world, share yourself with what it is. Yes, you can put your name out there, but you know what? It's more than just losing sight of and getting caught up in the business side. It's continually knowing that you are enough and you're worth the effort, and that your unique frequency in whatever it is you're offering, whether it's Reiki or massage or meditation, whatever it is why people come, why people show up for what you're offering. It's not just what you're offering, it's the energy you bring to it. And the more that people in those new businesses, healing, whatever it is, the more people embrace that and really understand it and embody it, the more benevolent their businesses will be, instead of going into the panic of, I've got to do all these things to make myself known. It's a funny little world that's shifting like that at the moment. It really is out of balance, but it is the old way. And so this new way doesn't matter if everybody in the street's doing the same thing as me. The people who come to me because I've got something they need. And that's it. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So, and that helps keep you true and aligned with your own soul song, helps you develop your uniqueness in that, and that spreads the word. And that's how you get a bigger business.
Yeah, agree. And if it's to Raelene, or check out when her retreat's coming up and her events, I've just popped up on the screen. RaeleneByrne.com is the website to check out. And the other exciting news,
Rael. Oh, sorry.
What did you say?
New website coming soon.
Oh, new website coming soon. Cool. Okay, that's good. We'll stay tuned with that. And the other exciting thing coming up on the 22nd of August is that we're going to be showing the first premiere cinema screening of Arenda, the movie that you're in. And that is exciting news because I've got the link for everybody for the first time. We just created it, the ticketing. So if anybody wants to go on and do some purchasing a ticket, if you're living on the Sunshine Coast, or if you want to, fly here to watch the movie, you're welcome to. We've got a whole heap of guest speakers, including Raelene and Naomi Winter, Lauren Kurth. We've got Pauline Howfield, and we've also got Jean Sheehan, as well as Tammy Pike. So there's like 7 of us from the movie, and we're all getting together and we'll have a bit of a chat after the movie and answer any questions that you might have. It'll be a fun night at downtown Caloundra on the Sunshine Coast.
Awesome. That'll be fun.
Very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, looking forward to that. Beautiful concept, that movie too.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know anything about it, Arenda is about the force that weaves through everything. So, it's about a movie that's explaining how we relate to it, how we have in the past as well. I love that part of it, of the movie, how the Indigenous talk about it as well, and how it weaves through. It takes us on a journey of how we're evolving it all today and understanding it. So I really enjoyed the movie a lot. Beautiful.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I get to give you a hug then too in real life instead of a virtual squeeze.
I know. How cool is that? And so with your part in the movie, did you feel like you had I felt that there was a natural fit for you to be in that movie. What was your feeling when you were sharing?
Natural fit. I mean, I believe in the energy that weaves everything together. That's part of this oneness. It's part of, we are divine little aspects of that. We all carry a part of that within ourselves, and we're weaving our way, walking through life, connecting all the time to that. So, isn't this what our soul song is? Isn't this really what we're doing, is bringing that beautiful energy that weaves through everything into the world and expressing it our unique way? Isn't that what we're doing? That's how I see it. So, I'm looking forward. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't had time. I've been traveling so much. I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching the whole thing. I've got time. As I said, my creative cave, I'm home for a few months now, so I've got a lot of catching up with things to do.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think you'll enjoy it. I really love the way, for those of you who don't know, Dr. Lana Marconi, she's the producer, the filmmaker, and she's an award-winning Canadian filmmaker, and she did a fantastic job. I can't wait to see it on the big screen, actually. I enjoyed watching it, but it'll be really nice to actually see it on the big screen, and I love the way she put it together. I just felt like it really helps us to understand so much more about spirit that perhaps we hadn't considered, and how that's reflected back in times past as well. I really enjoyed the Indigenous component, like I said. Them talking about how they connect to it, and it just felt really well-rounded. Giving a really well-rounded view of it. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to watching it again, because I think sometimes when you first see a movie, you get some level, one level, and then when you see it again, you get another level. So yeah.
And I think too, when we stop and look at everything, the Indigenous way of living was the original, basically the original, and there was a definite connection and understanding, respect, honouring of the sacredness of nature and the land and the wisdom of the energy that pervades everything. So, the Western cultures, or the Anglo-Saxon culture, whatever, we have been so separated from it that in our new age, and I see new age as KNEW because there is nothing new, we're now thinking that it's all this new stuff. It's not. It's ancient, and it's part of our DNA anyway. It's in us. So as we're opening up to it and really connecting in, we are starting to step into the KNEW age.
I put it up on the screen. I was like, KN. I was like, oh, KNEW. That's perfect. I love that.
The whole new age thing, to me, it does my head in. I look at it and I can't see it as the way it is. I see it as KNEW. It's like this. We know all this stuff, and it's interesting because this retreat I just did recently with Greg Braden, 4 days of incredible wow. So much of the science that he is bringing to new age concepts is all indigenous stuff. Yeah. And it's the science behind it. And you're sitting there looking at it going, wow, why isn't mainstream, why isn't the media picking up on this and delivering it to everyday people, even down to the fact, I'm going to have a soapbox moment here, that some of the science they're teaching to our children in school is the wrong science. The new science is there, but we're not teaching it. It's not coming down through the layers. We're still teaching old science to kids. We are being completely dumbed down to what actually is. So it keeps the separation huge. The gap between knowledge, wisdom, huge. So when you see an enlightened person,
when I was listening to you and Greg, because I looked at this live stream that you had and you were sharing and stuff like that, and you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when I was 24. I studied anthroposophy for a year, and it was a prerequisite for being a Steiner teacher. And I studied it. Anthroposophy is the study of man, and Rudolf Steiner was the person that put that together, even though he's long since deceased, but that's the course that I did. And in that, we actually had a look at how actual science and spirit actually link up. Like that was the most fascinating year of my life, to take a whole year out to look at how all that worked, and they were the creators of the biodynamic food, and how you even prepare food changes the food, and there's like there's actual evidence on that and things like that. And so I just find it so exciting, Rouse, and to it's kind of almost logical, but we've removed it. And like you're saying, like in the school, they don't look at the science, the connection of how it comes, spirit and science connect together, which I think you're right. I think we need to look at how to do it differently for our kids so that they can see that science isn't there to dissect and disconnect. Science could be there as a tool to help us to actually believe more in the spiritual picture.
Well, what Greg said, and I put it in the article, I really love this. He said, science is the contemporary language of spirituality. And the reason that is, and I know this because when I present to these big groups of people, I don't go and talk too much woo-woo, as much as that's my other language. I actually speak in their language because there's no religious charge to it. And this is why people will listen to science with regard to anything spiritual, because there's no religious charge. As soon as there's a religious connotation, which often spirituality is tainted with, people turn off. They've already made a judgment. So, I love that. When he said that, it's like, okay, so the only way to get to the mainstream is with a language that they understand, that opens a pathway for further curiosity. That's it. Mm-hmm. And then the answer is there. So, and that's what I've been doing, is opening people up to be curious enough to pursue it if they choose to. So, we've got to look at some of the science stuff. So if anyone's watching this and you want to understand a little bit more, this guy, Greg Braden's got a website. He's got loads of videos and stuff. I would highly, highly recommend to go and watch his stuff, because he has the science to prove a lot of the things that the spiritual world, inverted commas, and I do inverted commas, because I don't think the spiritual world is different. It's just that somewhere in our humanness we go spirituality and non-spirituality. It's the same thing. We're spiritual beings. it is the language to bring that into everyday life, or for people to understand that it is present. And science is such a great way to prove it, especially in old cultures.
Yeah. I've got his website there. Just found it as you were chatting. So anybody who wants to check out Greg, that's his website, and that's it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you talking about it in that regards, because it is about meeting people at their map of the world and feeling comfortable with the language that they're using, and not feeling like you're a fish out of water, even if you've gone down spiritual path and you age and you're more of a hippie. And I just think I talk to people like from all walks of life all the time, and exactly how you can when you take the judgment away, like how you were talking about how you turned in front of the group. And I've worked in mainstream a lot in my life, and when you take the blinkers off about people in mainstream, you find freaking hell they're full of spiritual people. Like there's so many spiritual people. They're just, a lot of them are scared to show it, sure, but when you start to take the blinkers off and take the judgment off, and it's almost like can we find a new spelling for mainstream? You know what I mean? Like, so that it's not a judgment. It's almost like we're putting a judgment between us and them, when it's more about the fact that if we only really understood what is really going on in there. Like I worked for child safety rails, for 5 years, right? And in that time, that was my spiritual assignment, to work in there after my awakening, after writing Lightwork practitioner training and all that. Like, what? Whoa, okay. And you can't get more mainstream than that. I mean, people, coming in, swooping down, taking out kids away. I mean, hello, it's just, working with the darkest side of humanity, if you like. But in that process, what I learned was how many judgments I had, and how I needed to peel back the layers of my own judgment. And as I did that, what I recognised working in there was that there were so many people who were operating along spiritual lines and doing their work. And so that's a really good example, isn't it, of how it has to go both ways. We can't expect people to rise to meet us all the time. We actually have to stop being on the high horse. Yeah, come off the high horse and look at people, differently.
I love what you're saying, because that is, the judgment thing, and we're all guilty of it, because it's part of that, as I said, going back to that old concept of survival, of the strongest, judgment, competition. So it's in us. But if we're mindful enough to know that that is a part of our conditioning, then we can pick it up really quickly and step back from it, and not let it be the thing that clouds our choices or responses or decisions. Step back, see a bigger picture, and then put yourself in that playing field where there's no preconceived ideas. It's just, okay, this is what's happening right now, and what's the best way for me to respond to this that is the correct way for me. It's got to come back to that, the correct way for me. So, the judgment thing, more and more and more, I think more and more people are aware of it in themselves, but it is habitual. It is habitual, and it does take a lot of mindfulness to really not fall into it. It really does. Even though we think we've got rid of judgment, it's still there. It'll come up with something else. You go, oh my God, here we go again. So, don't beat yourselves up. It's just, okay, there's a judgment there. I need to step back from that. Yeah. What's the correct thing?
Don't judge yourself for judging.
Yeah. I saw this thing the other day. Someone sent it to me. It was beautiful. I can't remember the name of the guy who was speaking. It was a little clip. And he was saying, I just so loved it. Whatever's going on in your life, make sure you do the right thing. And it doesn't matter if everybody around you is doing the wrong thing. It still doesn't make what they're doing right. You do the right thing. Be the person who does the right thing for yourself all the time. And that way, you may be ostracized, you may be rejected, but your thing is you're doing the right thing. And that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And, not so much right or wrong, but maybe I should use the word more aligned, aligned with self, more so than doing things because everyone else is. If it's not aligned with you, it's not aligned with you. So therefore, it's not true for you. It's pretty simple.
I know we're going to wrap up soon. Before we wrap up, and feel free to say no, sorry, but I was just wondering, are you able to share a little bit about maybe what your book's about?
Oh, it's soul stuff. It's also the journey to self-love, because, okay, you've asked me, I'll let you know. I've got this real thing. Whenever I hear people saying, and I'm sorry if I offend anyone who's listening in, this isn't about offensiveness. This is about me and how I feel about stuff. Whenever I hear people saying, oh, you got to love yourself more, you got to love yourself more, I want to freaking knock heads together. It's like, what the hell does that mean? Well, tell me what that means. So love, what I've discovered over all my years, love, self-love, whatever you want to call it, is a very subjective experience. And it's all to do with our upbringing in the early years, our receiving love and how it's been. And some people it's a great experience and some people it's bloody awful. So we're all going to have this subjective way of understanding and feeling what love is. And it governs us for life. It's like all things, we get a belief or a pattern and it's there all the time. So what I've found over the years is there's a journey towards self-love and there's levels of self. And these levels of self actually respond to various energy centers in our body. And it's this beautiful journey through all those centers and what they actually are. Instead of saying base chakra, what I look at it as is the area of self-responsibility. So it's things like that through the energy field. And little, how it's when it's low, how it looks, and when it's when it's good, how it looks, and little processes to bring you into balance with it. But following this journey into the sovereignty of self-love, because it changes every day. It changes every day. We're changing, so everything, our sense of self-value and self-responsibility and self-respect, all those things are changing constantly. So to be working on self-love today, it's going to be a different experience tomorrow.
Exactly. Well, can I say that I would love to, once you're done with writing your book, if you want to send me a copy, I would love to review it for Lightworker Advocate magazine and put a book review in there, because it would just be perfect fit for the love principle. And so if with your, obviously if you feel guided to do that, that would be a beautiful offering, I feel, like for people to understand that, how it is so, and I'm getting goosies about it all, because it is about owning your ability to understand, be aware of, be current with.
Yes. Be courageous. Be courageous with it.
Very courageous. Yeah. And it's really helping us to lift that vibration, but not only that, but to keep it there as well, it there.
Yes, I've got there's a process that you can do that shows you very simply where you're down, like where it's a bit low, what particular area is a bit low. So there's, you go to the area on either side and work on those and it brings it up. So it's a really simple process, but there's also a section of rituals, beautiful rituals for new moon, full moon, various equinoxes, solstices, bringing things in, releasing. It's like a lifetime of work put down and do this. So it's been hovering for a long time, but now it's time, and that's why my next couple of months is like down in the cave of creativity and going for it.
I love it. Well, thank you for grounding yourself here. And at the end of your travelling journey, before you get into your cave, thank you so much. And I look forward to giving you a hug on the 22nd at the Arenda film premiere in Flounder. And lots of love to you with putting that love into your beautiful book. So thank you again for joining me, beautiful.
Namaste. And thanks so much for having me on. It's always wonderful to talk to you. Enlightened Conversations. Hey, it's the only conversations I have anymore.
Exactly. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week. I've got Chris Pannon joining me from Massage Me Now. He's the founder of a new app that's launching next week, and it's to help practitioners be seen, found, and booked all over the world, traveling, static, or what have you. So I'm really looking forward to talking to Chris as well about his beautiful venture. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful winter solstice. Lots of love. Bye.